Picture this. You're listening to video essays on YouTube, hopefully one from yours truly, and you find that you're not able to fully focus on it. Your hands are too still, and you're fidgeting in your chair, and you're understimulated. So you boot up a game to keep your hands busy, and your mind occupied with the video in the background. The video still has your attention, even more than before, but you're split between the video and the game. Yet somehow this feels less like a divide and more like a union. Two parts of your brain working together to enhance both's ability. The game is just enough to keep your hands busy, but not so intensive as to intrude on the listening experience. This perfect balance of solid gameplay loops that aren't distracting make a category of game that I like to call background games. These games, as stated before, are simple yet effective at working parts of the brain that perfectly complement other cognitive function. They are, in my opinion, one of the most intriguing and important subgenres of game that get very little recognition for what they provide the player. So what makes a game a good background game? What are some examples? And how do they enhance brain activity? Stick around and find out. Firstly, what are background games? To put it plainly, a game you play in the background when engaging in other, more passive activities such as listening to media like audiobooks, video essays, or music. With this functionality in mind, there are a few mechanics and gameplay types that turn a good game into a great background game. These aspects are as follows: minimal story, easily understandable and rewarding gameplay, and non-intrusive audio design. The first of these is very important, as having to read or listen to dialogue or watch cutscenes makes for a very poor background experience, and intrudes on other activities involved. The game is only one half of this partnership, remember. Next, rewarding gameplay. This is an essential aspect of any good background game. Small dopamine hits throughout the experience keep the momentum and moment-to-moment gameplay interesting, but not overwhelming. It's important that the game is fun and keeps the player's interest long enough to keep their cognitive function high. The last, but certainly not the least, non-intrusive sound design. The game should have satisfying auditory feedback to boost gameplay and add to the other sounds around the game without getting too loud. The largest aspect of these is riding the line between flying completely under the radar or being abrasive and too captivating in the pursuit of wonderful middle ground that is both enjoyable and enriching. But enough about the logistics. What are some examples of games that I find to be good background games? Well, most obviously, I find roguelikes to be the genre that is certain for the most prime candidates. Games like The Binding of Isaac, Vampire Survivors, etc. The random aspects of the short-term gameplay keep the neurons firing, while remaining easily understandable and simple at their core. If roguelikes aren't your thing, then there are other games that might suit you better. Another great example of this sort of game is platformers. From Mario to Celeste, simple platformers can keep your blood pumping in your heart while your head absorbs information. The fast-paced action, coupled with tons of secrets and optional challenges, make these a great fit for more active thought. Lastly, a more iffy type of game that works as a background game is city builders. More casual ones like Urbex are perfect fits in this case, but the more involved and traditional members of the genre like City Skylines and SimCity I find are bad fits. And of course, you can't go wrong with puzzle games like Tetris, Mini Motorways, Dwarf Romantic, and plenty more. Of course, I think it goes without saying that my examples are not the end-all be-all, and that if you can find something that works nice for you, then play away. These are just some of my own personal recommendations that I find work best for me. Now, the big question. Why is it that background games are so conducive to learning or consuming other media? Well, put simply, both activities work different parts of the brain, and the two aspects being worked actually befitting the other added activity. Several scientific tests done have shown that people are more likely to remember information given to them or take in new concepts with additional stimulation, such as background games, than without. Studies from places like the American Psychological Association and National Institutes of Health show that gaming increases cognitive function. Though most of these studies cite a need for more research or further evaluation, I think anecdotally it's safe to say that most people, when playing a background game, are more conducive to understanding the information put in front of them. Plus, it gives an excuse to play video games during work or classes. Jokes aside, what I'm really trying to say with this video is that I think background games are an underappreciated subcategory of gaming that come in handy a lot of times when you have an audiobook to finish but you don't have enough work to get through it, or you listen to a podcast on your drive and suddenly you don't have to make that drive that day, but you still have an itch for that podcast, you know? It allows a fill-in, gap activity for those sorts of situations while also managing to stand on its own merit, not to mention the profound psychological effects they can have on the productivity of your brain, allegedly. And hey, I hope you enjoyed the examples I gave, and I hope you try some of them out if you haven't. And I'd love to hear what you think constitutes a good background game, and what your thoughts are on the genre as a whole, so drop some of your favorites below and tell me why. And now for a bit of shameless self-promotion. If you like this video or want to subscribe to the channel, you know exactly where you can go for those. I don't have to be the millionth guy to tell you that. But here are some things you might not know. I stream on Twitch every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can catch me over there playing games like Minecraft, Subnautica, and even a bit of Half-Life. So if any of those pique your interest, or any of the content here piques your interest, you should go check me out over there and see what I'm up to. We just hit 200 followers, and I couldn't be happier about it. Otherwise, my other social medias are linked in the description for your viewing pleasure. And I've been Voxel64, and I'll see you next month.